I have this firm belief that I think rhythm is everywhere around us, right? Like you can find it anywhere you look, if you look for it. So this little video is an experiment. It's doing something I've never done before, but I'm just gonna go around my local area of Hackney and try and find some sounds and go back to the studio and make them into a song. And hopefully it gives a really unique sound, something that I've never heard before. Hopefully I get surprised by myself, but I guess this is also a message of encouragement to try and push your own boundaries a bit. It's really easy to get stuck in the same cycle and habits of making music, and it can actually get quite boring and frustrating because you're doing the same thing because you know it's easy. So yeah, this is a little experiment to find out if we can push the envelope a little bit, find out. So I'm just going to use my phone microphone for this. I've just stopped by some trees. They're making quite a nice sound, so I'm going to try and capture that. I feel like I might have to intervene with nature here and just get my phone in there and rustle some shit about. I actually did this experiment on the last video about creative solutions for making music, and one of the solutions was just to go and record yourself doing anything. I did that and made some really nice percussion of me walking down the hallway in my studio. It's got like this really nice reverb, so that provided the sound. But that just got me thinking that it could be good to actually do this on a larger scale. You never know what sounds will just pop up and happen. Like, there's so much randomness going on around us that it's just going to make these sounds that I think if you put into nice little loops, you'll just get these really unique patterns. There's like a little kitchen around here. I'm just going to try and sneak my camera around the corner and see if I can get some audio. Sneaky. There's a train about to come by, get that. I also think like walking is like quite nice and rhythmic. For example, I'm just going to hit record. Just put this down towards my feet. So I'm at London Fields. I'm thinking just capturing some of the sounds in the park, like birds, whatever. There's so much background ambience going on here, so it could give some interesting results. A little moment of honesty. I'm incredibly tired right now. And because of that, having just come around and recorded some sounds, the thought has crossed my mind, what the fuck am I doing? And this is probably a pretty common thought that most of us had when we're doing this kind of stuff. But I have trained myself to have this secondary thought kick in and say, no, stick the course, keep doing what you're doing. I think that's really important because I'm sure at any point during any creative process that we've all experienced this thought of what the fuck am I doing? But I think that's just tiredness trying to get the better of us. So it's probably time to fight back and just say, no, I know what I'm doing. I'm confident in that. So I'm sticking the course. All right, this is a weird flex, but let's go. All right, welcome back to the best music studio in the world, the Darnley Den. Now, I've got my samples that I've recorded. I've put them on Ableton, and we'll listen through that in a second. Now, bear in mind this. The sound quality is probably not going to be that great because it's just recorded off my phone. Would I recommend to anybody to get an actual recorder if you're going to go out there and do field recordings? Definitely. I just didn't have mine available to me. So I've just gone with my phone. Does it bother me? I don't think so. I was reading in this book called How Music Works recently that this quest for like absolute sound perfection is almost sort of pointless in a way because for the most part, like we're digesting audio in MP3 form if we're going on Spotify or on YouTube. So it's like compressed audio. And people seem to be very happy with this. Like, yes, WAVs and high quality audio, it's better to work with as best as quality as possible. But does it really matter at the end of the day? I don't think so. Like, I don't think anyone would listen to whatever I'm about to make and think you should, the feedback would be like, you should get a better sound recorder. I just don't think that's going to happen. It doesn't actually matter, is my point. It's more about the idea. And the idea here is to just find rhythm in the things around us. It's obviously a train. I think there'd be something cool in there. That was a glass bottle that I found on the ground. It was just sort of rolling around. That could be interesting. Oh, there we go. Also nice. That was me walking. I think someone was walking past me at the same time and gave me a really funny look. What I might do is just start digging in with this audio and we'll see what happens. I have picked up on one thing, so I want to show you my process of how I'm thinking about this. Listen to this little loop. I'll take the EQ off actually. There's those nice high-pitched sounds, which actually sound quite cool. So it's like, yes, there is that noise in the background, but let's just see what happens. Like it's sort of unavoidable. Again, we're just using a phone, so can't be helped. Whatever this little percussive thing is, I really like it. So I'm going to dig a bit deeper on just what is possible here. And the simplest, I guess, like thing or way to go about this is just to like make a 1 bar loop. There's that bit there, which is quite nice. And coincidentally, there looks like there's this sort of nice 1 bar loop here. That seems to be the loop there. So I'm not really able to get this back end to work. There we go. Cool, I'm gonna leave that there and just move on. It's quite interesting. I'm turning the, the transient envelope down after I put it in the non-looping mode. It's just bringing out those knocks. It's kind of cool. Might just loop it and see what happens. Ba, ba, ba. Something's already happening. Okay, I think it's important to dig a little deeper. Yeah, we have to try and play with this glass bottle. There has to be something in here. I might just start stretching the audio out. And make a loop again. I'll turn the metronome on. Cool. Cool, happy with that. Let's keep digging. Oh, here we go. So I'm going to warp it again. There was a few sounds in here that I really liked. I'll bring it out to the side anyway, because it could be an interesting loop to play with in a bit, but I might just still continue going through this found sound. This was an interesting idea I had. Like, we've got these wind noises in there, and on any given day, you might just assume it to just be annoying, but let's just see if we can use it. Because they're kind of like bassy. So I might just stick an EQ on it, and I already have one, and just start playing. I'll put it in mono. Okay. Let's do this. That kind of works. So I'll bring him out here. I'll copy the EQ and mono. Just to put it on that, keep it for later. And we'll go back to our sound, our recordings. I do like that click, so I might just bring it out the side, save it for later. There was a nice snap just there. Warp it again. Might be able to use it. I'll bring it out. I think we have enough. So I'm going to stop it there in terms of trying to find more sounds, and let's try and make something out of what we have. Okay, so let's see what all of this sort of sounds like together. It's not as bad as I thought it might be. Then I guess the question is, how do you turn this into a beat? What I tend to do, I don't usually work in the clip view. Usually I'm in the arrangement view. This is just sort of how I go about my thing. You can go about it in your way, but this is how I like to arrange. It just helps me get an understanding of my loops and like what's actually going on. I almost like to arrange as I go along, basically. But it's just a neat way for me to be able to play with these sounds. So that's why I like to do it. I think it's worth just identifying what these sounds actually might be. So this thing's got like this little click. So like high click, I guess, is what I might call it on Ableton. Metal spoons, I think they were. I don't know what this would be called, but let's just like slappy things. Glass bottle. Voice. Might just start adding in some drums and just like trying to form this into some sort of a beat. I'm not expecting to finish off like a track here, but if I can get an actual idea down, I'd be satisfied. Like, again, I know I just said I like to sort of arrange as I go along, but if I could make a solid 1 minute idea, then that's good. Like, arrangement can come at a later stage. If I can just sort of get an idea down, then that's the main thing. So I'm also determined to not make techno. I've been doing a lot of that recently, and like part of me just needs a break. So I'm determined to come up with a different style of beat, which might mean like not doing 4/4. I need to try and find a rhythm. That's all my mind is thinking about right now, is just where's the idea, where's the core groove. I don't mind it. It's kind of drunk. it's a bit, it's weird, isn't it? The groove. I'm wondering if I'm actually into it or not. Okay, so my initial conclusion here is that this voice thing in the background is like the thing that's tripping me out a bit. It sounds nicer to me when the voice thing isn't in there. So I'm just going to take it out. Yeah. Now I do have something that I can use here, which isn't in Ableton, but it's a sub filter, and it might just like boost the low end a bit. That should do it. Now with that conga as well, I've just pitched it around, so it's sort of forming like a little bass line as well in a way. I'm going to pitch this down. It could be cooler lower on a lower sort of register. Now, a lot of these sounds are obviously in mono. I'm just going to use the quick Haas effect on this like beep thing. The way I set it up using Ableton's delay is just get a delay, turn the link off, 0% feedback, 100% dry wet. And one of the left or the right should sit on 1 millisecond and the other maybe like, anyway, whatever sort of sounds good, but we'll start to notice a stereo effect as opposed to I'm just feeling that the little clicky snap thing that we have isn't sort of providing enough of a transient. So I just want something like a easy finger snap. Maybe too long of a sample. But I might just like take the tail off of it. There we go. There we go. Cool. That's starting to actually work as a little beat in a way. So if I'm happy with that, what I might just do is highlight all of these things and just, I'm going to consolidate it on the screen so that it's just all looped up. So that way I can sort of drag it all out and start to form this idea in a way. There's a lot more room to play around with effects on what we've recorded as well. So I think I need to focus my attention on that. Typically when I'm making music, sometimes my mind can just dart here, there, everywhere. and like it can sort of, the track sort of snowballs. Like I find it quite difficult to try and break it down step by step, but I'm trying to be very conscious of that because I know how my mind works and I can get very easily distracted. So I think for this next part, it's just like a focus on the effects for the sound that we have recorded. I kind of don't want to add too much to it in terms of like if I made effects racks on every single sound, it just sort of would just sound too much. So what do we have? I'm gonna pan that. I think this thing could sound quite cool with an auto pan. Just to like create, again, it's that movement idea that I'm looking for. Like if that glass bottle's sort of dancing around your head, going like, grr, 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 like that could be quite cool. One thing a mentor of mine told me recently is like, instead of just cutting everything with the low end with a hard cut or just like a high pass filter, why not use a shelf and try and maintain some of the harmonics, because you never know what might actually add up. I know I've got a cut on this. There's just like maybe just like some super low end rumble that I don't want. And therefore I'm just going to cut that. But I'm just putting a low shelf on it so that I'm not like having all of the bass out, but just like keeping some in. I wonder if this as an individual channel would benefit with some distortion. Okay, so what do I want to do with all this? I'll do what I normally do, and that's just add shit until something happens. I will start with an echo. I kind of just want this echo, for some reason, to just affect sort of the mids. Just make a nice sort of little thing for it. Modulation, why not? Keep it moving. I'm going to put it in a group with a dry chain and an audio effect rack, just so I can balance out the sound this way. Cool. I was listening to a song before and it had this really nice, like, I guess, phaser or flanger with like an LFO, but it just sort of felt like it kept going down. So I kind of want to create that in a way. Now, if you're wondering what's going on in my head as I stare off into the screen, on this audio effect rack, I'm just adjusting the volumes of the effects that I've got running through there. There's a few schools of thought around this. One thing I'm trying to, I guess, like embrace here is this idea of you either use an effect and make it so subtle that it's in the background that it just adds to the overall mood and texture of the track, or it becomes the instrument. I think I'm taking the former here where I kind of want these things to just sort of blend into the background a bit, just so I'm letting the ideas of what I've recorded come out a bit further. There's that nice like ba 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 ba. Now, because we have duplicated it, it needs to work on a different sort of level than the other one, just so it doesn't sound the same. Or maybe it doesn't. Maybe let's just listen to the both of them. Works quite nicely. If I start playing with the start marker, just change up the rhythm. Maybe I reverse it. I might just play around with some more ideas and just see what happens. That was cool. This is just the beat mosaic preset on the Ableton 12 filter. I quite like that. Although it is mad, I quite like that it's like adding to the beat in a way. So I'm just going to turn it down so it's not like dominating. But I think that's quite cool. All right, next I reckon we try and fuck some shit up and like destroy the sound. I mean, let's just chuck an amp on it and just explore what happens. This is probably gonna destroy my ears, so turn that down. I kind of like the drums a bit drier. Well, at least the kick drum and that low thing. So maybe it is just a case of grouping within the group, like the tops or tops and perks into something, their own little group. So I'll put another amp back on. I might do like an echo, and I'm just really right now, I have no idea what I'm doing. At this stage, I'm just moving shit around and just exploring what I can possibly do. But I'm following a few of my classic things, like for example, always using these audio effects racks with a dry chain with no effect on it to let the sound breathe a bit. Yeah, that's got a really nice stereo thing going on now. It's that snap. Cool, I like that. I might just pitch it down. Now, what would I do here? Maybe I try and just go back to my drums. Nice. Okay, I'm enjoying this idea of this chorus. What I'm going to do again, put it in a group with a dry chain, 100% wet. I'm going to put an EQ on it just to stop it from doing the chorus on the low end, so I can preserve some of that, but still having some of the transient of the kick in it. Cool. I'll put a saturator on it and just drive it so hard, see what happens. that's getting quite loud now. With this chorus thing, I might just chuck like a flat line on it and see if I can bring out more of its essence. Really important that you adjust the attack and release on the multi-band compressors. What settings am I making them? Well, typically for like bassy sounds, you want like a short release and a long attack. So I've done that for this like sub region, although there's not a lot of audio there. So what I'm really doing is just adjusting it now on this 80 hertz and above chain. Now, I'm just going to chuck an EQ with mid-side on this like drum effect rack, just because there's a lot of sound after that we've affected it, particularly for this chorus, coming through the sides, and I want all that to be mono. Cool, that's helped clean it up a bit. That sounds pretty cool. Now with these metal spoons, I might just go and like not have them play so often. Oh, cool. So what I might do is, the idea has just come to my head, is to play with this panning on the metal thing, just so it's going left, right. Right now it's 17 right, so I might just make that a bit more. And then this second one, I'm going to make like 23 left. I'll get the automation in this drop down bar and just duplicate it across. Really easy way just to set the rhythm up. So now you'll hear it go like left, right, and the left. What I like to do is just get a channel of audio, which it is. I'm going to find my kick, which is channel 12. I'm going to click in, so the audio is coming through live. And then I'm going to set up like a reverb thing on it. So I'll get my hybrid reverb. I like that. I will go 0 on the stereo, so it becomes mono, because remember it's sub bass. Makes sense. Cool. I'm going to turn the filters on it on, so that we're just getting bass. I'll set this at 100 hertz. 100% wet. I'm going to go on a full algorithmic mode. And you can hear that rumble. I might just put a quick flat line on it. That sounds nasty. Now, it's really important, as I was going to say, to side chain this thing to something. So that's going to be the kick, and like side chain it hard. So when I checked my mix, I mean, you could use the Spectrum tool that's already on Ableton. So I'm just going to check on this visualizer that I have. It's the Vision 4X. I can see there's almost nothing happening in the mid-range in a way. So like the mids and the highs. So it's probably a case that this like recorded sound is just way too quiet. I might just honestly just put a utility on it and boost it and see what happens. I can go back to my visualizer and we can see that like now it's starting to become more present. There's a lot more space in the mids. I'll get my sidechain compressor from the sub bass and just chuck it on this bassy thing that we have. And I need to make sure on this bassy thing that we have that I'm taking out the lows, or at least turning them down, just so that there's room for the sub bass. Simple, simple. So yeah, I'm happy to leave it there. Like, it's an idea and it's been a nice experiment. Like, I got outside, I went for a walk, I got to try something new. But this is something that I would definitely like bring into my other work. Like, you could consider this to be a study in a sense, like, you know, trying things out before it actually makes it to a track of yours. Just been reflecting upon yesterday's session. Overall, I think the music that I made was quite weird, but I think that was the intention. I really sort of lent into that because listening to it today was quite strange and is quite a weird beat. But I think as an experiment, as like a testing the method thing, I think going out and recording your own sounds and trying to find rhythm in that is like, as an experiment, it was a success. And it's something that I would do again. But I'd probably do it a little bit better this time. For example, I'd probably take my actual audio recorder out, just so I've got some high quality recordings. But I'd also pick my spots to record a bit better. Outside there was a lot of noise, I guess, just background noise, and so that sort of fed its way into the audio that I was using. So I think I would go for more quieter environments unless the thing that I was recording outside was quite loud. Or in a less sort of urban environment. But as an experiment, as like getting out there and doing something different, I quite enjoyed it. I really just enjoyed the moment when everything rhythmically makes sense. And I found that happened a few times. Like, you could find some really, really cool rhythms just by looking at stuff around you. So yeah, I think this is quite fun. I appreciate you watching. If you have any comments or anything like that, just leave them in the comment section below. I'll write back. Till next time.